Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So, in this week, we discuss what the overall scheme of this class, legal research and others. So, I prepared printouts from textbook, chapter 8, and the title is Bringing It All Together, Strategies for Research and Determining When You're Free. And also, I'll take some opportunity to explore some article from law librarians. The two articles is quite instructive, and well, prepared to enlist the developments of recent interactions in the activities of legal research. So you will see the importance of online sources, and the sources will even be inscribed into the kind of electronic sources. So fairly revolutionary, or normal sensibility. The kind of introduction is very kind to a span of a period of United States history, and sections to deal with the kind of sources, perhaps mostly in print forms, but now converted into online sources. So English reported, actually 18th century's online sources, quite useful for legal historians and the researchers interested in legal history. And also, the context is quite not irrelevant in present times of concern. As you see, for example, lexicography. What does it mean? What is the origin of the word repugnancy? So, the judicial review may take some history, you see, as also well exposed from the case titled Medicine versus Marbury, and context would be foundational in our understanding of contemporary legal system of global jurisdiction, not limited to the nation of the United States. So it's kind of paradigm which inculcates these subsequent developments, taking the same measure to administer the state administrative justice, you see. And also, the constitutional approach, which often make a point on the historical phrases. So what does it mean? So original intent meaning, or in some cases, you'll see some differing perspective to understand the words in the classic documents. That kind of debate and concern would still consequential in resolving the constitutional dispute and a controversy. Recently, the Supreme Court has conformed the traditional rulings about bearing to a right to bear the arms, Second Amendment, and we may know some practical purview which would be contested soon or thereafter. So the constitutional amendment may be put to public poll, perhaps is entangled with kind of a political election, midterm or others. So Second Amendment would face some destiny of change depending on the circumstances. And the right to bear arms is quite serious, as you consider. So carrying laws and what are those? We consider the context of public policy and the kind of legal response, transformation of toll damages, and in theory, actually, what is a negligence entrustment. So the strict terms, in terms of vicarious liability involving parents with causality, would impede the kind of effective response against the gun shooting, school gun shooting. So it is one of public ailment and also often left with grief and anguish, and nonetheless the response would not be so effective. And in some cases, passive to be manipulated with factors negative and adverse against eradication. So, of course, the progressive would be most practical. I consider it will hardly be this route. The whole of factors are operating to counteract the gun shooting. In any case, it is some good news, I suppose. Bad perhaps for some businesses to contest if the right to bear still survives as a matter of constitution. So the constitutional document has long been a strong backdrop and what kind of offers the kind of a implicit support and would be a people or base to determine the problem and issues. If the constitutional amendment would be realized, the dilemma would be relaxed in my expectation. And as I stated, the constitutional question involves a historic kind of understanding of the document. So the Second Amendment was formed under the influence of British period in cruelty, dictatorship. So militia and right to bear arms is quite demanding and lawful, especially in terms of self-defense, and the kind of notion has been strengthened in the westward expansion, period of westward expansion. So gangsters you see in cowboy films in the United States. Self-defense is well, actually, justice. So the history is greatly entwined with understanding of law, current system. And the librarians would have made contrast between most updated forms of advances to provide research materials, online internet sources, and what the research needs on history. So, history is especially important in case of the United States, as I've mentioned. So often the Constitution is very a foundational subject, and project through other courses. So the work in law schools often is devoted to the study of Constitution. So main or actually pillar subject to be related with many subjects, and the Constitution is also what as interconnectedness in deep structure with history. So what the legal writings and kind of works from individual lawyers who provide some insight for understanding the Constitution and the history involved. So James Madison, John Jay, the kind of materials could be compiled in some websites, which is available to your access. And also the online provider is expanding, as you hinted on the article, and English important and 18th century materials, and the writings of lawyers or judges, legal organization. So the article was prepared by Maurice Cohen and titled Researching Legal History in the Digital Age. So I have some implications, and Cohen's argument would actually hail the remarkable developments of digitalization of historic materials. In one aspect, on another point, Cohen also saw the change would not be significant in terms. So content is usually same, merely organized in structural way, and in some cases related information was provided in system, and some form of coherence could facilitate the research in aspects. Foundationally, it is unclear to his perception or understanding that the digitalization will alter the paradigm to push us somewhat actually see of new change. So it is dubious. Nonetheless, it is important to chart the kind of developments, since that is actual mode of our interaction. You will often take a step to begin with starting your PC and makes it secondary or primary sources. You will have some time to decide whether to subscribe paid pages of legal information providers or free access website. So whereas and the formality being a need in my suggestion, then make yourself to be accustomed to listen more this different. Nonetheless, still you need to have an insight. So the illustration is implicated from the author. He illustrates some famous legal historians, and often the historians would study some bibliography of Supreme Court justices, Joseph Story or others. So change had occurred in a period, perhaps we see some changes between 1970s and 2005. So same researcher who deal with same context of research, biblical research of Supreme Court justices. In his earlier work, he will refer to a printed prints to deal with many material sources, paperback version of books, or in some cases, historical pages who should work through the shelves of law library, brick and mortar context of provision. You consider collections, bookshelves would be a destination he should respond. In 2005, however, he might work on the basis of internet sources and many electronic sources explored in time setting would be a source he should refer to investigate the story of justice. So what could be found different if they are again? How do you conceive? So the reality and outcome were not so conspicuous in differences, similarities, and the research outcome would be comparable in his conception. So what actually affects the research outcome by implicating the kind of developments, electronic sources? His focus was limited to legal history. And this fashion of subject would be most effective to present his thesis. So his proposition is dual in my understanding, so we have to be accustomed